Huh? No, we have quorums for both boards, so we'll proceed.
Well, we're not.
I called both of those, Greg and Adam, and just left voicemails. Didn't talk to
Okay.
them.
Well, we have a quorum for both of our meetings, so it's past 5 o'clock. So I think we can probably begin our.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
we're almost live. We're not quite live yet.
I thought you had it there. Okay.
It's showing
It's streaming live.
we're still dead, huh?
It's spooling.
Ooh, okay.
It's spooling.
Spooning?
Yes.
Jeez.
What is this, the MIS department?
Let us become undead.
Okay, there we go. We are live.
Okay, and so we have a quorum for the Planning Commission. So we'll begin our Planning Commission for Wednesday, November 18th. And to begin with, I will read a little extra notice. I think we're all pretty much aware of what's happening with COVID. But we have some information from the county. It has been determined that an in-person meeting is not practical or prudent because of the COVID-19 pandemic and the related peacetime emergency declaration made by Governor Walz in accordance with Minnesota statutes. We have ensured that all members of the body participating in the meeting, wherever their physical location, can hear one another and can hear all discussion and testimony offered at today's meeting. We have also ensured that members of the public present at the regular meeting location of the body can hear all discussion and testimony and all votes of the members of the body. We have urged the public not to attend this meeting in person because of the COVID-19 pandemic and have ensured that members of the public can view and monitor the meeting remotely in real time by broadcasting the meeting on the Cook County website. All votes will be conducted by roll call, so each member's vote on each issue will be identified and recorded. Okay, with that, we're going to, as we said, roll call. We're going to begin with a roll call of who's in attendance for the Planning Commission. And I assume is Adam Treefel is not here, correct? Jerry Hineker. Jerry, you're here? Jerry's coming back. No, where is he? Oh, he was. Well, we'll get back to Jerry. We had him here just a minute ago. So Judy.
Here.
I'm here. Charlie Laboda. Here. Greg Mueller is not yet here. John Schlote.
Coming on.
Here.
And I see Commissioner Dukirk is with us. Jerry Hineker. Well, we lost Jerry. We'll get him back here, I think. But we still, I want to make sure I know what we're saying. 1, 2, 3, 4. We still have a quorum here if we don't get Jerry back. So we're fine.
And Mr. Chair, Greg Mueller just came on too.
Okay, Greg is here as well. All right. Check you off, Greg. Okay, the first item then is to adopt the agenda for this evening and approve the minutes of the October 14th meeting. If you folks have had time to take a look at those minutes, if there are any additions or corrections, we can note them. Otherwise, we would be ready for a motion to accept those.
I move for adoption and approval of the agenda and the minutes of October 14th, 2020.
Okay, motion by John. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, Judy?
Either one.
Second by Judy. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Roll
Actually,
call.
wait a minute. Roll call vote.
Roll call.
I already forgot. All right, we don't have Adam. Jerry, are you there? Nope. Judy?
Aye.
I'm aye. Charlie Laboda?
Aye.
Greg Mueller?
Aye.
And John Float?
Aye.
All right, the motion is passed. All right, then we only have one item of business tonight on the Planning Commission, and that is the Great River Energy. The request to amend the conditional use permit originally approved as resolution 2007-26, allowing for an expansion of generator use outside of emergency operations and within the Mid-Continent Independent System Operator, MISO, system power network from an existing generator facility adjacent to Cook County Road 14. Legal description: the north one half of the north one half of the west one half of the southwest one quarter, section 32, 32, Township 62 North, Range 3 East, except the north 250 feet of the west of, so let me get that exception again, except the north 250 feet of the west 250 feet thereof. I think we might have a little typo in there. We're just accepting that 250 feet. The PID is number 55-232-3210. Mr. Lane.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I see Mark Strophus and John Tweest representing the World of Electricity for this hearing. Great River Energy parcel consists of 18.72 acres and was purchased in 2007. Property supports an 18 megawatt emergency generator facility constructed in 2007. An adjacent Great River Energy parcel supports an electrical substation, suggesting an important electrical grid connection for the County Road 14 generator site. The parcel is contained within the Forest Agriculture Residential or Forest Zone District. Background and review of conditional use and activity use that would not be appropriate if allowed outright in any number, but which, if controlled as to number, location, and activity, could be consistent with the comprehensive plan and not be injurious to the public health, safety, or general welfare. The review of each proposed use must determine that it will or will not be compatible with the standard of this article, and if it is found to be, must attach conditions to ensure this continued compatibility. Any use not expressly identified as a permitted, conditional, or prohibited use within this ordinance may, at the discretion of the county, be processed as a conditional or interim use. I established and provided you with the background review, which included excerpts and guidance from the Cook County zoning ordinance and the Cook County land use guide plan, including the FAR 3 zone district overlay. And let me get to our considerations. Just a disclaimer before I start the consideration narrative. Mark Strophus did correct me that Great River Energy is actually not the parent company of Arrowhead Electric Cooperative, and so just wanted to correct that before I get into the narrative. Great River Energy has owned the subject parcel since 2007. 4 permitting actions have been documented, including a 1999 variance allowing the creation of a non-conforming parcel to support substation construction, a 1999 CUP allowing construction of that electric substation, a 2007 CUP allowing installation of the current 18 megawatt emergency generator facility, and a 2019 CUP facilitating the construction of a commercial storage facility on the site. The current request is to change the function of the generator from local emergency use to an energy grid connected system-wide use without emergency implementation. Despite its placement within a residential zone district, GRE infrastructure on the property is integral to electrical supply in Cook County. Permit allowances for utilities are facilitated by section 10.03B1 of the zoning ordinance, which identifies antennas, relay towers, substations, pumping stations, pipelines, and other equipment and related buildings for the transmission of utility services as conditional uses, suggesting the overall needs of the public would allow placement of a similar facility regardless of zone district constraints. From a regulatory perspective, the change from an emergency to an as-needed use reflects both the modernization of the electrical grid and with that, its connectivity. And I address figure 1, which was included in your packet. In simplistic terms, localized transmission deficiencies are supplemented by borrowing from other sources in the grid. As presented, the use of the generator will ensure that the electrical transmission system and power quality to all power consumers is stable. And that is an excerpt from the GRE application. Since the generator was established in 2007, we, Land Services, have not received any concerns or complaints regarding the operation of the facility. The closest residence is 820 feet, and it would be assumed that were the operation disruptive, we would know. It may also be suggested that the inconvenience of an occasional generator firing may be less disruptive to equipment we have left than the loss of electricity. That's not to say a more engaged generator operation will not result in greater adjacent property concerns, and we, Cook County, would be supportive and proactive for property owners if borrowing from Peter to pay Paul, it's an electrical metaphor, would jeopardize their right to enjoy the physical and aesthetic components of their properties. Finally, it is an acknowledged obligation of GRE to first focus on consistent electrical delivery to Cook County before enhancing delivery to other regions. We believe this defines GRE's functional responsibility. The amendment of Resolution 2007-26 will result in retention of conditions in 2007-26 with the modification of Condition 3 and addition of Condition 4. And I included the draft resolution for you to see how that would shape out in this proposed amendment. Current conditions are as follows. Statements made by the applicant. Actually, a lot of this is pretty archaic right now because this was involving the creation of the substation. So let's just go right to conditions 3 and 4, which is the only change that's reflected in this. Condition 3 in the new amended conditional use permit will state the operation status of the generator shall change from emergency use only to emergency use or economic dispatch. And 4, electrical delivery to Cook County shall not be compromised by general delivery to other areas of the MISO network. And basically what that does is give us an overview of the use and also the constraints, which would be in the favor of Cook County electrical users. This project will directly benefit the residents of Cook County and as such should not present a local regulatory concern. It is also noted that the operation is bound to both state and federal permitting and requirements. We sent out 15 notices and received no comments at the time of this narrative preparation.
Thank you, Bill. Yeah, you sent out 15. Did you say you haven't received any replies?
I haven't. Actually, Jeff and Susan Gekas are here in
Okay.
response to the notification and everything.
But you have no
They
other
didn't
written
give,
response.
they didn't give any comments.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, I will turn over to John or Mark. If you would, do you have anything you'd like to add to Bill's narrative before we open this up for public comment?
Yeah, this is Mark Strophus from Great River Energy. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, we appreciate your time tonight. I don't have any extensive comments prepared for tonight. I've had a chance to review the draft proposal. We're in agreement with conditions 3 and 4, and we're here to answer any questions that you or the public may have with respect to the project or the proposed modifications that we're planning here. Thank you.
Thank you. John, do you want to add anything? You're on mute, I think, John.
Yeah, the space bar didn't work. So I'm here for support to answer any questions as well, to help outline what it looks like from an outside plant or a physical plant description and answer questions regarding that. And also what the positives would be for Cook County if this was to become a peaker plant or an economic use plant as it was described versus its current status as an emergency plant. So we can open it up for questions for those that are concerned and we'll go from there. Thank you for the opportunity.
Sure, thank you. I have a question before I even begin, but I want to just clarify those terms a little bit that you used. You talk about an emergency plant and a peaking plant, and what was the third you call an economic use plant?
Right, in the description and conditional use permit, my understanding what Bill read was an economic use plant. And
Yes.
Mark, if you want to highlight that, but I can, in real simple terms, when it goes from the designation as an emergency generation plant, which would be only used in emergency situations such as if the transmission line went down, the difference in using it in an economic version is when we're talking about the MISO or the Mid-Continent Interconnect System Operator
Mhm.
would be asking GRE to potentially fire this up at some time to support voltage out into the
Sure.
transmission system, thereby giving them an asset to use that would be cheaper, and I'm going to say in theory, than buying it from the market because they have an asset there that they could use. Mark, do you want to highlight any more than that?
Yeah, that was a pretty good description. But basically, the major difference is up until now, we have independently started and operated the facility based on our own determination of need. And primarily that need has been when there are outages on the transmission system. And had there been reliability issues on the transmission system, if voltage dropped along the transmission line coming up the North Shore from Tack Harbor, we may have operated at that point in time because instability could be indicative of an outage, a future outage. So the difference now is, oh, go ahead. There's a question.
No, that's fine. I understand what you're saying. No, I just wanted to get that clarification between emergency peaking and in economic use. I'm more familiar with peaking plants, so okay.
Right, that is the more common term.
Sure. All right. Very good. If you don't have anything else, gentlemen, I'll turn to the public. Hearing nothing, I'll open this hearing now to the public. If you have a comment or concern you'd like to voice about the request from Great River Energy for this plant on County Road 14, now is your opportunity.
Okay, can you guys hear us?
Mhm.
Okay, Jeff and Susan Getchus, we live across 14 from the power plant and within half of a mile from the power plant. And when they first put the power plant in to do it for emergency use only, we were okay with that. We couldn't see it from our house. The only thing we can see from our house is the Brew River Valley and Lake Superior, and nothing else until, of course, now found out last week that the county's putting a tower in within a quarter mile from our house. So there goes our view. They powered up the power plant in the past a few times to let us hear it. It was not under load when they initially did that, and it was fine with us. You could hardly hear it. Now, 2 weeks ago, they fired it up under load because they had I think they had to upgrade or something else on the main line they had to do. So they fired up this plant, and it was loud and clear from our house. We sleep with our bed and windows open on that side of the house, and we're used to hearing not a thing from our house except for the roar of Lake Superior. Once in a while, a truck driving down the highway, but we're about 3/4 of a mile off the lake. All we hear, like I say, is the roar of Lake Superior and the wind in the trees. Nothing else. When they fire up that generator plant, all we hear is the drone of that generator plant, totally destroying our privacy and one of the reasons why we have this place. And I'm sure it's going to take the value of the house away. One of the values of the house, two of the values would be the location. And because of our location, our view, and the quietness that we have here, that is going to take away the value of our house. No one's going to want it. It'd be worth a lot more to somebody when you point out that, look, you can't hear anything. Isn't it beautiful? That's gone. And I'll let somebody else talk.
This is Mark Strophus again. First of all, we're sorry that the recent runtime was a noise distraction for you. And to be honest, I'm not quite sure why that would have happened. The units run a number of times in the past. Is this the only time you've heard it?
No, we've heard it in the past. We have a problem with it running occasionally here and there for emergency purposes. We agreed with that when they asked us before about installing it. And we don't have a problem with that, running it when you need to run it for emergencies and stuff like that. But now they're talking about running it in a full-time basis.
No, that's incorrect.
Well, what is the purpose of running
Okay,
it?
gentlemen, let me just stop for a second. We don't want to have a back and forth between the folks.
No,
You
just
need
want to
address
clarify points.
Yeah, I would just ask
apologies.
everybody to address your comments to the commission, and then we'll take it from there. Let
fair
me
enough.
ask you gentlemen a question in response to the comments I heard. when you talk about an economic, whatever we call this, the new name for this plant, to run it when it's economically viable, you're running this on fuel oil. How often is that going to be viable? Do you have an idea? You must have a plan or some sort of idea of what does that mean to us?
Mr. Chairman, if I may? This is
Yes.
Mark.
Yep,
Okay.
you bet. That's what I'm
Um,
just looking for.
Thank you. Sorry for the earlier conversation.
No, that's right.
I think it's you have a good question here, and you know, to be honest, I don't expect that economic dispatch is going to make a difference as to how often it's going to run, except for a minuscule amount. And the reason is exactly what you're asking about here. It's the cost of the fuel oil. These units have a high heat rate. That's the amount of fuel necessary to produce a megawatt of energy. And they're burning diesel fuel, which is expensive relative to the other generating sources on the market. And even though we talk about this as being part of the MISO system, it really only serves the Arrowhead region. For example, Arrowhead Cooperative, I believe, has a peak load of approximately 14 megawatts in the wintertime. This unit is 18 megawatts. So beyond Arrowhead's service territory, it can only push energy out to the rest of the grid, and that would probably be absorbed by the city of Grand Marais. So realistically, this is under an emergency situation. You know, if we're in an economic dispatch scenario, we are virtually on the edge of an emergency situation before MISO would dispatch this unit.
Yeah, well, my experience in the past is with what we call peaking plants. And we used to have to go run them once in a while just to turn the shafts on the turbines because they sat idle so much. They didn't run because fuel oil is so expensive. It only got used very, very rarely. Okay, John, did you have a comment?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if that'd be all right.
Yes.
So in addition to, you know, it changing its designation to a peaker, what is currently happening is they run it about once a month on the average for testing, just to make sure everything is up and running like it's supposed to, so that in an emergency situation they are able to dispatch. One of the things that's going on, and the reason for this, which I'm not sure if it's in the narrative or not, but GRE has initiated Project Phoenix. Project Phoenix is part of a major change in Great River Energy's portfolio for generation. What that means is that Project Phoenix, part of that is the shutting down of Coal Creek Station out in North Dakota. And that's an 1,100 megawatt coal-fired generator, which provides a significant amount of base load. So by losing that and having that available in the MISO market for base load, they're now going back and saying, all right, we're losing 1,100, but we need to replace that 1,100 megawatts. So what they're doing is they're looking at potential assets that they have. This is wind. This is, you know, renewable energy, mostly wind. They have some natural gas peakers that they have as assets. And then they were looking at this particular one as an 18 megawatt generating station that currently has the designation of emergency only. If they were able to make this a peaker, it adds 18 megawatts into their portfolio that then goes into the MISO market that makes up for that 1,100 megawatt deficit that they're losing by Coal Creek Station. And while I don't disagree that diesel is not the way to go, what the reality is here is, like Mark had mentioned earlier, the cost to run this is so high that it's still going to be significantly cheaper to buy it from the MISO market and run this at the very last, as a very last resort. One of the things that benefits Arrowhead Electric, all of its members, and actually all of Cook County, including Grand Marais, is that by this becoming a peaker designation, it would be able to go online without any power outage interruption. Meaning that currently in an emergency situation, or if we need to fire this generator up and backfeed onto the transmission line, we have to shut the entire county down in order to do that. If it gets into this peaker designation, that will not have to happen any longer when it goes online. When we come offline, there will still be a small outage, but going online, it won't. So that offers this the ability for voltage support in the future if needed. It's a long transmission line, and with multiple coal plants going away, including Minnesota Power coal plants, the possibility for voltage support is there. However, it is very minimal because of the engineering plans that they have already executed. The runtime of this generating plant is going to be very small, if at all, any more than what it currently is. It's just not going to happen. It's still mainly going to be emergency situations only. It is not going to run full time. It was never planned to run full time. They have no desire to run this plant full time. It is way too expensive. There is only 24 hours of fuel available in that tank. If that thing runs and they know it's going to run for a minimum of 6 hours, they've got to get a tanker on the way because they're going to have to get it filled up. If there's an emergency situation that's going to last longer than that, these tankers are going to be coming in once a day to fill that tank. It is not a viable solution as a whole. So to help clarify that, it will not run any more than what it currently is, in my personal opinion, and what I've talked to GRE about. Being they're firing it no less than once a month already for maintenance issues to make sure everything works as advertised, and then only in emergency situations. So I just wanted to help clarify that. Like I said, the benefit to Cook County is significant in changing this plant in the way that it's designed to help the county and the city of Grand Marais for voltage support and to be able to bring this online without having to shut everything down. It will be helpful.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know if that's going to, if that makes the neighbors, gives them any satisfaction or not, but I just know that I knew that being a fuel oil power plant, you are not going to run very often. You can't afford to. I can't afford to pay the bill on my electricity if you do that. Are there other comments from the public? Anyone else from the public that wishes to comment? And I'm going to close the public portion of this hearing, and we're going to turn to the commissioners for their comments.
Can I say one thing real quick?
Yeah, yes, go right ahead.
Now that it's been clarified, the letter we received, I interpreted it wrong that it was going to be running on a full-time basis, but
Yeah.
John assures that it's just going to be
Yeah.
a part-time basis as was before. I don't really have much of a problem with that if it means helping the county out as far as outages and drops in voltage and stuff like that.
Very good, thank you. I'm glad we got that cleared up, what is actually being proposed here. So with that, I'm going to ask for commissioners' comments or thoughts.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, you guys.
You
Yeah,
bet.
you're welcome.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Any commissioners, any thoughts or comments?
This is John, and I personally, I don't see that this is going to be operating any more than it is now. And I think, if I were Mr. Gekas, I'd be concerned too, if we're going to be operating more often. But I don't see it as being a point, and for the general good of everyone in Cook County, I think that go with a little bit.
Yeah. I do have one more question for John or Mark. I noted in that narrative, it said that this plant operates at 50 decibels at the property line. Is that correct?
Yes. Sorry.
Well, having done a lot of work with noise issues and building highways, and in the court plenty on that, 50 decibels is really quiet, folks. I mean, that's the dishwasher in your house, that kind of thing. I mean, we're not talking about a lawnmower runs at 90 to 100. So it won't be as intrusive as it might appear. Any other comments from commissioners? Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Charlie.
Go ahead, Charlie.
Motion to approve the amendments as written.
Thank you, Charlie.
I'll second.
Is that John?
Yes, it is.
John, second. All right, we have I find John, a motion and a second. Further discussion or questions from the commissioners? Okay, hearing none, I'll call the roll. I don't think Adam is here, is he? Okay, not hearing any Adam. Jerry Henniker? He's still lost. All right, Judy Machenbacher.
Aye.
I vote aye myself. Charlie Laboda. Can't hear you, Charlie.
Aye.
Gotcha. Greg Mueller,
Aye.
John Sloat.
Aye.
All right, that has.
I'm having technical difficulties here. I don't know if
hear
you
you,
can
Jerry.
hear me or not.
We do hear you.
You can
now.
hear me? Okay.
Yes. We
Um,
just,
yeah, I vote aye.
all right, we got you. Very good. And the request is passed.
Hey, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
can I just, before you close the meeting, you know, this comes into communication and stuff. If I send you a voicemail the day of the meeting, could you at least let me know that you received it and you'll be in attendance? Because we always come into these with the quorum uncertainty, just to make it a little more of a flow.
Very good. Let us
Thank
know
you.
if you're going to be here, guys. And with that, we are ready to adjourn. Motion?
So moved.
John Sloat wants to go home. Okay, motion by John. Who is the second?
I'll second.
Judy, I got you as a second. All right, Jerry Henniker.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm not getting,
Motion to adjourn, Jerry.
technically, I've got some problems here.
All
I'm
right.
only getting half the audio and
Well, okay.
I had
We're adjourning
Yeah, I
the
don't-
planning commission at this point, so we'll adjourn it and we'll see if we get you on the next one here. I'm going to vote to adjourn.
Yeah.
Judy Machenbacher? We lose Judy?
Aye.
Yeah, aye. Charlie?
Aye.
Greg?
Aye.
And John?
Aye.
All right, the planning commission meeting is adjourned. And
Thank
we
you all.
will,
Appreciate it.
yeah. We'll
Thank
move
you.
over, move to the
Greg,
Board of Adjustment.
John
And
Tweez.
I say that and I got to take a moment to adjust my computer. All right, Board of Adjustment for November 18th. First item here is to adopt our agenda and approve the minutes of October 14th. Has anyone had an opportunity to read those? I hope everyone's had an opportunity to read them. Somebody like to move it.
A motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, we got a
I'll-
motion by Charlie,
I'll second.
second by Judy. Further comments, discussion? Okay, hearing none. We'll call the roll for the agenda in the minutes. Jerry Henniker, can you hear us, Jerry? Not too well. Judy?
Aye.
I myself, Charlie Laboda,
Aye.
and I guess that's it, the three of us and Jerry when he pops in. So we have adopted the agenda and the minutes from the last meeting. Do we have,
I vote aye.
okay, you're back, spaceman there. All right, so our.
Yeah, I don't know when I'm back and when I'm not. It's just,
Yeah,
I'm having a real problem here.
we'll take you as we get you there, Jerry. We have a quorum without you, but we'll include you as best we can. We have one ongoing item of business is the plum request, which was tabled in the, I don't know if that was last month or the month before, maybe last month. Bill, you want to take that?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This was originally presented to the Board of Adjustment on September 9th. And it was tabled to today. And if you'll recall, just as a refresher, that the issue was both the presence of the proposed site in proximity to a bluff resource and also uncertainty regarding the geologic consistency of the soil strata and that sort of thing. So the meeting was tabled to tonight with the request that the Plums engage with the services of a geotechnical engineering consulting firm, and they did that. And that's a pretty pronounced investment on their part to provide that for the Board of Adjustment. And as a prelude to this, the updated narrative, I did include that report with the new documentation they received in the packets. A lot of that is way over my head, and but some of the things that you glean from that are, in fact, that it is a glacially derived landscape, and that's pretty interesting, considering that it's relatively high above the water levels and things like that. So the what has happened is, just with all the engineering updates and things like that, I just basically updated the considerations to include the following, and I'm scrambling to get there. The geotechnical engineering report is included with the revised document. It demonstrates several things. First, it validates the identification of bluff resources. Second, it provides a thorough overview of the geologic processes that shape the Magnetic and Gunflint Lakes landscape. Finally, it demonstrates the commitment of the property owners in providing board requested information, and in doing so, demonstrates the viability of their build-out request. That said, we have modified the conditions of approval for their variance. Those conditions are as follows. 1, no construction or site preparation may be initiated until a land use permit is approved by Land Services. 2, no clearing of vegetation beyond that necessary for dwelling or septic installation shall be allowed. 3, a small site stormwater plan in accordance with the Cook County Stormwater Ordinance shall be developed and implemented for all components of construction. Erosion and sediment controls shall be established before, during, and after construction, and may not be removed until surface stabilization is demonstrated. 4, construction methods, including excavation, foundational support, and build-out, must incorporate the findings of the geotechnical report, with the implementation of that report the responsibility of both the property owner and excavation contractor. 5, the property shall conform to all requirements of Minnesota Rule 7080 and the Cook County Septic Ordinance under the direction of Mitch Everson, Cook County's Environmental Health Inspector. And finally, structural build-out may not deviate from plans approved by the Board of Adjustment at the November 18th, 2020 meeting.
Thank you, Bill. Mr. and Mrs. Plum, do you want to add anything to what Bill's narrative is at this point?
No, we certainly want to thank the board here for their patience in working through generating this data. We're really quite fortunate here to get a good firm out of Duluth, EPC, up to the site here. There was a break, as you recall, here a couple of weeks ago in the weather, and it really proved valuable to get what they needed for water resources and be able to get the rig in there and to do this work. So thanks for the patience for that, and we're available for any questions. If there's a technical question, we do have Chad from EPC is online, but I think we're moving in a good direction here.
Very good. Let me, I don't know if Chad, from what was the name of the engineering firm? EPC, you said?
Yeah, EPC Engineering and Testing.
EPC. All right. And Chad?
Chad Lowney,
Yeah.
Lowney.
Yes, sir. Would you, Chad, do you have any comments or that you'd like to make regarding this before we turn this over and open it up to the public?
Actually, it's Chad Lowney and Gary Haig, both owners of EPC Engineering. We're on the call
Okay.
right now. No comments right now.
All right. Well, very good. Then we're going to open up to the public. If there's anyone from the public that wishes to speak to this this item. I don't see anyone else online, but we'll ask. Anyone from the public who wishes to speak to the Plum request? And hearing none, we'll close the public portion of the hearing. And we can turn to the commissioners for any comments or questions you might have. I'm not hearing too many. I'll tell you that I visited the site last month, not this month. And I voiced concerns at the last meeting we had regarding that because I saw the heavy overburden there in along the driveway going up that hill. I could see where the erosion was starting, and to set a house on top of that, you don't want your house going down the hill where the boulders are rolling. You've done a good portion of what we asked was for you to get a geotechnical engineering firm to do some analysis for you. Now your challenge is going to be to take that information and implement it in a design that will allow you to build upon that hill. I'm gonna make one more comment. I probably don't really need to, but I'm gonna say it because when I visited the site, you folks weren't there, but you got a flat spot on top of the hill and you built a yurt on it. And now you have a difficulty building a home. When we read the requirements for a request such as this, it says that we cannot approve a variance if the homeowner or the property owner is the cause of the need for the variance. So in other words, what I'm saying is, in my mind, you built a yurt in a place that now you're asking to build a house alongside of it, and you're struggling with the bluff. And that's just that is my opinion. It's not certainly no kind of a condition or anything else. I think you have a challenge yet before you to design a property or to fit you have a design there of 3 stories sitting on top of that bluff. Your architect and your engineers need to work together to marry these two plans. I guess that's what I would say to you. Anyone else have a comment or thought?
I agree with you, Don. Excuse me, I'll go ahead.
Go ahead, Judy.
We've got a place, or I'd like the engineering firm to confirm that what they want to build there will work for that site. And like you say, marry the two, have them sign off that they approve putting what they want to build on that site with whatever they're proposing to utilize to put it there.
Yeah, and I believe, Judy, that Bill Mr. Lane has included in the conditions that very thing. I'm voicing my opinion, but I think he has said it when he said construction methods, including excavation, foundations, etc., must incorporate the findings of a report and implementation of that report. So we're requiring them to do it. In my mind, it's going here from a board decision now. If we allow this we pass this request for this variance, then staff is going to need to deal with these issues and work with the homeowner or the property owner and their contractor to come up with a plan that meets all of these requirements of the conditions that we've laid out here. I think I think Bill has done a good job in doing that. I don't know what you others think. I think it states it pretty well in those conditions what we expect to see. Anyone else?
The only concern that I really have is that the engineering supports the project that they want. And if the engineering supports that, I'm not going to have any objection to it. And that's why we asked for the engineering report in the first place.
Okay, I see what we have. We have some boring logs. We don't actually have an excavation study or anything of that sort. That is what will need to be worked out with their contractor and their engineer and their architect. And that's going to be staff's job to get that done if we approve this as it's written. And I'll support it as it's written. I just want to note that there's a challenge here. This is not as simple as, oh boy, I got a variance, I'll build this house.
Is it appropriate if I make a comment?
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Baum.
Yeah, no, again, throughout this process, including the design, we've enjoined here with a pretty prominent architect who has a great reputation. We've not tried to cut corners and try to homebrew this thing. Similarly here with EPC, the group out of Duluth, really excellent geotech. They're very popular. They're widely used in the whole Midwest area for their work. And so we're of the background here that we're not trying to cut corners on this. I think the other piece that we've engaged with is with Thorson as the initial indication here for the excavator. And the next step then is to take the report here from EPC and then integrate that with the architect to get the actual footings designed. I think what the EPC report shows is that the stability of the ground and the support for the ground at the 2,000 pound per square foot level can support a concrete foundation, but then exactly the widths and the details of the thickness of that, that's what needs to happen in the next step. And we are certainly engaged in joining with professionals to make sure that that happens.
Very good. That's a good plan, I believe. Any other comments or motions?
This is Commissioner Laboda. I would just like to kind of echo the concerns, but given the 6 conditions as written, make a motion to approve with the 6 conditions as written.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Laboda. Do we have a second?
I second that.
Jerry is the second on this. Okay. Any further comments or questions from the board? Okay, hearing none, we'll call the roll. Jerry Hineker.
Aye.
Judy Machenbacher.
Aye.
I'll vote aye myself. Charlie Laboda.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we have 4 ayes. The motion has passed. So your variance is approved. Now you have some work to do.
All right, again, thank you very much, board, for your time and patience in this.
Yeah. Good luck to you folks. Okay, we're moving on. Did we have one more item on here? Yes. What was that? Schwinghammer, is it not?
Mhm.
Yes. Too many papers. Okay, the new business is Manitou Sunset Bay LLC request for a variance from the vegetation line and county road setbacks to construct a sauna on property adjacent to Lake Superior and the Manitou Trail. Legal description is part of the easterly 330 feet of Government Lot 1, Section 33, Township 62 North, Range 3 East. PID number 55-233-1100. Mr. Lane.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is case 2020-28B. The Schwinghammers are available for our Zoom meeting here. The property was purchased through a contract for deed in 1981 with clear title received in 2005. Parcel includes 1.7 acres with approximately 380 feet of Lake Superior shoreline. Property is entirely contained within the single-family residential or R1 zone district. Excuse me. And Lake Superior is categorized as a general development lake and includes 40-foot structural setbacks from the vegetation line and 100-foot septic treatment setbacks. 2 definitions that I'd like to just review prior to the narrative continuation. Setback is the minimum horizontal distance between where a structure may be placed and the normal high water mark, road center line, road right-of-way, front, side, or rear lot line, well, sewage soil absorption, and or soil treatment area. It's from Cook County zoning ordinance, section 2.56. Vegetation line is the line along Lake Superior at which high water or high wave action presents the growth of permanent or woody vegetation. On solid rock where no vegetation grows or where there are undulations of the vegetation line, the zoning administrator may determine an average vegetation line for setback purposes. That's from the Cook County zoning ordinance, section 2.76. Moving on, considerations. The applicants have had a family connection to the property since 1981. The parcel received a significant makeover in 2018 when the original cabin was replaced by a new 2,700 square foot residence, supplemented by a mound septic treatment system installation. As presented, the Schwinghammers have proposed placement of a 60 square foot portable dry sauna situated at 53 feet from the Manitou Trail center line, 20 feet from the edge of the right-of-way, and 40 feet from the Lake Superior vegetation line. The submitted Schwinghammer site depiction suggests a reasonable implementation of the request. Distances are accommodating and only the travel corridor is broached. However, several landscape features conflict with their proposed layout. First, Land Services has identified the vegetation line as a more prominent component of a construction placement constraint. See the enclosed site depiction. Second, the application's property layout is more general than it is precise. Finally, there is no site demarcation identifying the proposed sauna's location, so its placement is somewhat ambiguous. During post-submittal conversations with the applicants, Land Services saw the layout depiction oversights as problematic and included the vegetation line setback in the variance vernacular to accommodate the potential placement of the sauna. May one necessary if the sauna is placed immediately adjacent to the residence. Two, only be required for the road setback if placed in the northern portion of the property, or three, will require both road and vegetation line setback relief. Regarding the sauna itself, when situated within a resource setback, saunas are identified as water-oriented accessory structures and as such are acknowledged by Minnesota Shoreland Rules 6120-2500 subpart 20. However, Cook County does not recognize the structures as a property feature, and as such, their presence is either non-conforming, excuse me, which is grandfathered, or variance dependent. When addressing saunas in the past, the Board of Adjustment has typically weighed their proximity and potential impacts to that shared resource. In this case, the sauna being dry and slopes, oops, wrong page, sorry about that. And without immediate jump in the water access removes most of those concerns. In addition, the sauna's placement is geared solely towards family use. This is not a VRBO, and so it should not present any unstructured or unprincipled use. Perhaps a more accommodating feature of the property, however, is the installation of a new septic treatment system and the demonstration of resource protection and conservation. This is a modest request without any concerning landscape or aesthetic impacts. If approved, the following conditions may be applied to this variance request. 1, a land use permit shall be necessary for the sauna. 2, placement of the sauna may occur no closer than 50 feet to the center line of Manitou Trail and no closer than 30 feet from the vegetation line of Lake Superior. 3, no vegetation shall be removed from within the vegetation line setback to accommodate sauna placement. 4, once placed within variance constraints, any subsequent movement to the sauna will require notification of Land Services. And 5, setback distances shall be verified by Land Services. We sent out 18 notices of this request and received 1 inquiry without comment at the time of this narrative preparation.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Mr. Message Schwinghammer, would you like to add anything to Bill's narrative before we open it up to the public?
Sure. Thank you for your time tonight to the board.
Yes.
Our intent here is it's a wood burning sauna. We wanted to respect that vegetation line. And so initially we only requested the road setback variance. The reason we didn't precisely put flags or anything is we weren't aware that we needed to, and we probably should have. And all those conditions seem very reasonable. The only question we would have is on the land use permit, if we could use the same land use permit that we'd already pulled for the home that we constructed less than 2 years ago. But we can work with Mr. Lane on whatever that requirement is.
I'm sure you can. They made me get a new one to put a front porch on my house, so you can talk to them about that. Okay, anything else you'd like to add? No.
I don't think so. I
No.
don't think so. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Then I'm going to open this up to the public. If there's anyone from the public that wishes to comment on the Schwinghammer's request, written as the Manitou Sunset Bay LLC request for a variance for a sauna on Manitou Trail. Anyone that wishes to comment on that, now is your opportunity. Anyone wishing to comment on the Schwinghammer request for a variance? Now is your opportunity. Well, hearing none, we're going to close the public portion of this hearing and we'll turn to the commissioners for any questions they may have. I'll start and say that I did visit the property and yeah, your property narrows a little on that side of the house and you have to squeeze it in there a little bit. I see that. But you have a nice property and this looks like it's well taken care of. And with the conditions that have been set, I'll certainly will support this request. Any other comments from commissioners?
Seems simple enough to me. I don't see any complications, any problems with it. It's a pretty minor project. I think that was stated right up front on that.
Yeah. Charlie or Judy, anything else? Otherwise, I'd take a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve with the conditions as expressed.
Okay, we have a motion from Jerry
I'll second.
and we have a second by Judy. Further comments or questions? Charlie, you look like you were going to say something there.
I was just ready to second it. That's all.
All right,
I
well-
think it seems really simple and
Yeah.
straightforward.
Very good. Then I'll just ask any other comments or questions regarding this before we vote on the Schwinghammer request? All right, hearing none, I'm going to call the roll. Jerry Hineker,
Aye.
Judy Machenbacher,
Aye.
I myself, Charlie Laborda.
Aye.
We have all ayes, and so your request is passed. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I believe we are ready to adjourn, huh?
I move we adjourn.
A motion by Judy and a second by
Yeah.
Jerry.
Yep.
All in favor, or not all in favor? Jerry,
Aye.
Judy,
Aye.
I'm an aye, and Charlie.
Aye.
And we are adjourned. Thank you, folks. Try to stay well.
Have a good evening.
Guys, thanks,
I
Don.
know.